Sai Ram, respected elders, brothers, sisters, my like-minded younger ones, on behalf of all of us, I offer my most loving salutations and pranams at the divine lotus feet of all of our loving Lord, Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. In a minute, we would all witness the stream of love flowing through all the way from Prasanthi Nilayam over to us through none other than our own dear brother Prem Anosh. Prem has a very unique opportunity of studying in both Brindavan and also in Prasanthi Nilayam, right? And after his studies, he received a boon of working and serving Swami directly in Prasanthi Nilayam. Back then, of course, it was Radio Sai, now Sri Sathya Sai Media Center, SSS MC. A lot can be talked about Brother Prem, but few things if I can touch upon. he is always engaged in satsangs day in and out, and he put on a lovely satsangs in the satsang hall and also through our SSS MC Media Center. And by the divine grace of Swami, he has also visited several countries. So, dear brother Prem, we are waiting for your trip to us. That us is nothing but US. Hopefully, it gets materialized soon. And also, that many things can be, basically many thoughts are crossing through. But in short, if I can say, of course, we all love Swami. But how beautiful would that be to be living with Swami, living for Swami. Likewise, we are all, Swami is part of us, right? Swami is part of our life. From the morning through the night, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Absolutely, no doubt. But how beautiful would that be if Swami himself becomes our life? Whenever I go to Prasanthi, this is something that I witness and I draw that inspiration, motivation, and energize myself, recharge, and come back. And it's all Sevadal. The Sevadal can be, yes, from the Dasha line all the way till every element that takes place in Prasanthi Nilayam. Let it be hospital, let it be college, let it be school, let it be Radio Sai, SSS, MC, so on, right? So definitely, whenever I see Brother Prem Anosh, I do look up to him for that lovely smile that he wears, that lovely vibes that he shares with all of us. He is definitely a role model for many of us, and I look up to him to definitely draw that more motivation from Swami. So in short, if I can say, it's going to be a treat whenever you see Brother Prem Anosh. And our YouTube channel is filled with his discourses, if not discourses, really his talks, beautiful, lovely. So at this moment, let's do this. Please join me in welcoming Brother Prem Anosh to our retreat. Over to you, brother. Sai Ram. Jai Sai Ram.
I offer my most loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. I pray to Swami that he gives all of us the understanding that it is Swami who speaks and it is Swami who listens through each one of us. Respected elders, sisters and brothers, Sai Ram to all of you. Thank you for those kind words. I think all of us are aware that none of that belongs to us. Whatever little glory has made its way to us, it's only through him, only because of him. And I most prayerfully and humbly offer all of those kind words that you uttered about me at Swami's feet, and then only hope that someday I will be worthy of those words. On the eve of the Aradhana celebrations, I extend my greetings to each one of you. There is this one episode that I'd heard from a senior of mine. I might have narrated it any number of times, and each time it fills me with awe, it fills me with gratitude. So I would like to begin with that. Swami was in Trai Vrindavan with the students, and Swami was having a very casual conversation when all of a sudden Swami decided to ask a question. And Swami asked the students who were gathered there, you see Swami performing so many miracles, so many fantastic things happen around Swami. What do you think is Swami's greatest miracle? Swami asked, what according to you is Swami's greatest miracle? So the students started taking a shot. Somebody said, Swami, the whole of the world is in your hand. There is a beautiful verse where Swami says, I can turn the sky into the earth and the earth into the sky. So somebody said, Swami, that's your power. And all kinds of things. Swami, you can cancel by a mere word of yours. You could do this, you could do that. Swami kept dismissing everything. And then Swami said, we are living in a world in the age of communication and the age of information. Swami said, today if a aircraft doesn't land properly in New York, some technical snag and an aeroplane has not landed properly, Swami said, sitting in your living room here, you will know about it the very same day. That's how fast news travels, right? We live in an age of communication and where information goes around the globe. And this Swami was telling in the early 90s or late 80s, much before the internet revolution happened. And today it's all the more true, isn't it? So Swami said that in this age where everything gets shared so quickly and travels so fast, Swami said so much is happening around Swami. Swami is performing so many miracles. So many people come to Swami, get transformed. So many institutions are being built. So much work is being done in Swami's name. Swami asked, how is it that the whole world is not at my feet? In an age of communication and information, when everything gets shared, something so phenomenal, how is it that the whole world doesn't know it? And then Swami said, I have placed my hand, pedda chai pettanu akkada. Swami said, I have placed my hand and I've stopped the whole world from knowing me. And Swami said, that is my greatest miracle. To just complete the story, I'll come back to this very profound statement of Swami because it's not something that has to be mentioned and move on. The student who narrated this episode, he was from the city of Bangalore and it was during the vacations. So the students who were living in Bangalore could stay in their homes and come to Vrindavan for darshan, and they could attend the Trai sessions and go back home to come back the next day. So this student who narrated this episode in one of the interviews that he gave to Radio Sai, he said, the Trai session got over and then I went back home. And this boy had the habit of watching the news while having dinner. So he sat down to eat dinner and turned on the TV. And what was the first news item that he heard? The news anchor said, a flight did not land in New York. Here is a report. We are so grateful to Swami for having come into our lives, for having performed so many miracles. I'm sure each one of you sitting there would have your own personal Bhagavatam to narrate. But how ironical it is that we should be grateful to Swami for not performing the greatest of his miracles to us. What he said was his greatest miracle was not allowing people to know, Swami, thank you for not performing that miracle in my life. Because you have chosen, you have permitted, you have graced me and each one of you here to know of Swami. And there is no blessing that is equivalent to that. Any number of things can happen in our lives after that. Right? Many miracles might happen, many cures might take place. But nothing is more greater than this blessing that he has allowed us to know him, to take his name, to repeatedly listen about his glory, and to just remember him throughout our life. On behalf of all of us, I place my gratitude at Swami's feet for not performing this miracle in our life and allowing us to know him. As students, one of the most painful memories, if I could put it that way, I have is when every now and then Swami would become upset with either the students or devotees, and Swami would express a quality which is so human-like, which is not divine in any stretch of imagination, but he would adorn or put on that quality for a specific purpose. And that is one of disappointment. When Swami would come and tell us how disappointed he was in us. I recall during my second year undergraduation, I think year 2000, where all of a sudden during the Dashara festival, where we were used to hearing Swami's discourses every day. This might be 2000 or 2001, I'm just recalling it from my memory. All of a sudden, Swami got it announced that he is not going to give discourses during the Dashara celebrations. And he made the person who made the announcement to all of us tell us that Swami doesn't want to speak because he thinks there is no point in speaking. Because Swami felt that there is no change happening in all of us, and there is no point in him repeating the same things again and again in a discourse. Needless to say, as we worship Swami in the Ashtotram, he is Sulabha Prasannaya Namaha. A couple of days later, Swami relented and Swami started giving discourses. And of course, he continued this blessing of giving us discourses. But every now and then, Swami would express his disappointment. There are any number of discourses that you will come across in the Sathya Sai Speaks, where Swami would call the inmates of the ashram into the bhajan hall or into Purnachandra for a special session. And invariably, it would be a session of Swami expressing his disappointment. Swami would say, what are you doing with your life? Having come here, what is the transformation that is happening? Because as I started, this is an opportunity which is so special, so precious. And with it comes this danger of us misusing it or letting it pass unused. And whether or not we were desperate, I think Swami was for us. Swami would repeatedly remind us, do you realize the value of what you have got? Are you making best use of it? In one of the discourses I was going through recently, Swami says this, People come to me after a discourse and they come and tell me, Swami, your discourse was very nice. And Swami would say, I don't want your appreciation. I want your transformation. Having heard the discourse, what has changed in you? Right? I mean, how ridiculous it is, the very embodiment of knowledge. It is like going to Mother Saraswati and saying, you play Veena well. It is like that, going to Swami and telling Swami, your discourse was good. Of course, it is going to be good. He is the very fountainhead of knowledge. So Swami said, don't come and appreciate me. Don't read my Vahinis and say, oh, Swami, you've written so well. Don't listen to my discourses and say that, Swami, the story that you said was so beautiful. Or that explanation that you gave for that Vedic hymn was so profound. Swami says, don't come and appreciate me. Ask yourself what has changed in you. So, what is this change that Swami actually wants us to bring about in our life? The change itself is a process, but at least we should make an effort to know what is that change. Right? The change happening is the second step. To be aware and to acknowledge what is the change that Swami expects, I think, is the first step. I'm just going to think aloud in the next few minutes as to what I think is the change. And of course, I have reasons to believe in what I'm saying, but that need not necessarily be the last word in this. But I think till here it applies to each one of us, isn't it? Each one of us will have to look within and ask, having Swami walk into our life, what have I changed about myself? The change could be external, right? I'm sitting here, I'm sitting wearing whites, I'm sitting here speaking in a certain manner, groomed in a certain manner. And all of this is, in a way, I've chosen to be like this because Swami expects it, right? It's very interesting. In the early years of Swami's college, when there was the Arts and Science College in Vrindavan, the students would not wear whites. It was a regular college. The students would be dressed in colors. In fact, Swami himself would give clothes which were colored clothes. So apparently, there was one student who would come dressed in whites. And Swami just showed his fondness for his dressing. Swami just said, see how nice he looks in whites. It's like white is a color of purity. He looks so neat. So slowly the other students realized that Swami has a preference for clothes which are white in color. So slowly white shirts started becoming a vogue. And eventually, by the time the university came into existence, this culture of wearing whites, the students being in whites, then eventually all the devotees wearing whites. So Swami showed a preference and it was embraced, right? It was never forced. Swami would often say this, it should be from the source and not by force. Swami would just indicate that I like it this way. I remember one of our lecturers who used to be in charge of the stores in Vrindavan, right? We used to have a cooperative stores which would buy all the necessities of the students from the Bangalore city and stock it up. And the boys used to man that stores. That stores still exists, and it was there even when I was a student. So there was a teacher who was in charge of that stores. He had this duty of buying whatever was required from Bangalore city. And it is unbelievable how many hours Swami has spent in that stores. Just an interesting factoid, if I could put it that way. When Swami inaugurated that stores, when they set up that stores and Swami came to cut the ribbon and inaugurate it, they told Swami that, Swami, you should make the first purchase, right? It's after all a store and you should be the first customer. And Can anybody take a guess what Swami bought? Swami bought some oil for Sai Gita. I think castor oil or something Swami bought, and Swami said, I'm buying for Sai Gita. This is the first purchase. So interestingly, Swami spent so much time in that store. Swami would come and interact with all the students. Swami would look around. Swami would tell them, what have you got? So this was like the early 70s or mid 70s when these very colorful and large printed handkerchiefs were in fashion. Right? Some of you might have seen it in old movies where they tie it over their collar and stuff like that. Big handkerchiefs, colorful ones, printed with flowers and all kinds of jazzy designs. So apparently, some of the students came to this lecturer who was in charge of that stores and told him, "Sir, can you get us those handkerchiefs? These big handkerchiefs which are, colorful." So he said, "Yeah, why not?" So the next time when he went to the city, he bought a bundle of these handkerchiefs and he had put it in one of the racks. A day or so later, Swami walks into the stores, looks around, and Swami is talking to the students, and this lecturer also was standing there. Swami puts his hand on that pile of handkerchiefs, right, as though he's taking support. He was leaning on that pile of handkerchiefs and talking to the students. And as he was talking to the students, a very quick glance was cast on this lecturer, right, who was also standing there. Swami looked at him, and in the slightest of gestures, Swami made a frown on his face, right? Almost nobody else would have got it. Swami just looked at this lecturer for a fraction of a second, makes eye contact, and Swami says, something like that. This lecturer looks at Swami's face. He realizes that something has, disturbed Swami or whatever it is. So he looks at Swami and he looks at Swami's hand, and Swami's hand was with this pile of colorful handkerchiefs. And he realized that Swami was disapproving of this new purchase, that he didn't want his students to use this fashionable jazzy handkerchiefs. So what this lecturer did the next day, he took that whole pile, he returned it to the merchant and got a pile of white handkerchiefs. And he put it in the same place. And the next day Swami comes, the same scene repeats. Swami stands there with his hand on that pile of handkerchiefs, talking to the students, and again makes a very brief eye contact with that lecturer, and Swami says, just saying that I indicated something to you and you understood it. Much of whatever we follow as external habits, dietary habits, the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak with each other, I think all of these are changes that we have brought about in our life. We have brought about knowing that in some way this pleases Swami. Swami expects this out of us. And this is definitely one of the necessary things to do. Something that as devotees, as disciples, this is something that a disciple owes to the Guru. But still, all of these are only external changes. And I would like to think that the change that Swami wants is something that is internal. We are celebrating the Aradhana Mahotsavam. We are celebrating the concept of Aradhana. Aradhana literally means to worship, right? To worship or to pray. Why do we really pray for anything? What makes us pray in the first place? Invariably, I pray when I lack something in life, isn't it? Something that I want or something that I seek, I don't have. That is always the basis of my prayer. But very broadly, I'm going to categorize prayer into two types. Both these prayers have as their basis this restlessness or incompleteness which makes us pray. That I need something, or I think I something is incomplete in my life, and so I turn to God and I pray for that. But all these prayers can be categorized into two types of prayers. One type where the prayer remains the means, and the other type where the prayer becomes a process. Two types of prayers. One in which the prayer remains a means, which is I need something, and the prayer is a means for me to achieve that. The other type of prayer is it starts off with the same thing. I need something, I'm praying. But then the prayer itself becomes a process that changes something in me. We have examples of this in our scriptures. On one hand, you have the likes of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, or you have characters like Bhasmasura. They have some desire, right? Some desire to be powerful, some desire to be uh, immortal, desire to win over the heavens or whatever it is. And in their limited understanding, they said, okay, I need this boon. If I have this boon, this will protect me. And if you read our scriptures, they would say what kind of tapas they do. They sit in really inhospitable conditions for years together. They do tapas. At the end of it, God appears in front of them. And imagine in all of this tapas, they've retained their stupidity to ask what they started to ask. At the end of so many years of meditation and tapas and prayer, when God comes in front of them, they say, give me this boon. Which means for them, the prayer has remained a means to achieve something. On the other hand, you have the example in the Bhagavatam of this little boy Dhruva. We all know the story. I'm going to make it very brief, where he is denied a rightful place on his father's lap because his father has two wives, right? And he is the son of the elder wife. And the younger wife does not permit Dhruva to go close to the father. And eventually she tells him that, if you have to be dear to the king, then you'll have to be born in my womb. And she dismisses him by saying that go and do tapas if you want. So that's how the little boy begins this journey of worshipping the Lord. He says, I want a place on my father's lap. I want the respect of being the son of my father. He goes into the forest. He meets Narada on the way. Narada initiates him into the mantra. Then the story goes, the little boy, who is about 5-year-old or 8-year-old, does immense penance for 5 months without food, without water, at a point where he stops breathing and he's chanting the name. And eventually Lord Vishnu appears in front of him. And Vishnu asks, what do you want? And the little boy says, I want to be devoted to your feet forever. And Lord Vishnu says, but this is not what you wanted first. This is not what you started the worship for. And then the little boy says, yes, my Lord, I did not start my worship for this. But sitting here and taking your name for all these months, I realized how trivial was my prayer. How silly it was for me to ask for something so worldly. And now, you having come in front of me, I realized that this is what I need to ask for. In the case of Dhruva, the prayer did not remain a means, but it became a process which transformed him. And the Lord, in all his mercy, he says, I will bless you with what you started your prayers with, as well as what you are asking for now in out of your maturity. And I think that's what Swami would say, that you climb the real coconut tree, even the shadow coconut is yours. You try to go after the shadow coconut, then there is nothing more silly than that. The example of Dhruva is perfectly. He tells him that you will go back to your kingdom, you will win the affection of your father, you will rule your father's kingdom, and then you will become a star, a permanent star in my firmament. The question that each one of us must ask ourselves is, we are engaging ourselves in Aradhana. Ever since we have come to Swami, we've been praying, we've been worshipping. Has prayer remained a means, or has it become a process? Has it created some change within? In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a portion where Krishna talks about the different kinds of devotees who come to me. Right? I'm sure most of you would have read those portions, heard it from Swami's discourses a number of times, where he says there are four categories, but I'm going to speak about the first three. He says Arti, Artharthi, and Jignasu. Right? Arti is somebody who is in pain. Something goes wrong in life, suddenly you remember there is a God. Something goes wrong with your health, you're in pain, you're suffering. Then you remember, oh, there is one Sathya Sai Baba. There's a beautiful quip in Telugu which Swami would often quote. Sankatam vaste Venkata Ramana. Right? When difficulties come, then you'll remember God. He said that is an arti. When there is pain, when there is something that is troubling you, you turn to God. Then there is an artharti. A lot of desires, a lot of things to achieve in life, a lot of things to secure in life. So you turn to God for that. I need a good job. I need a promotion. I need this, I need that. And then you have a jignasu, whom Swami says is somebody who's after knowledge, who seeks clarity in life. I really want to figure out what is all this. What is all of this? What is life? What is the purpose of life? Now, if you look at these two categories, Arti and Arthati, very broadly, if I have to describe them, they turn to God out of some disturbance that is caused inside because of some change that happens outside. Right? As I said, the source of all prayer is actually restlessness. That restlessness is invariably caused by some change that is happening around us. We talk a lot about climate change nowadays, right? The discourse is so much about climate change. What actions should we take to stop the change in climate, global warming, and in some places it is uh, extensive cooling. Basically, the weather patterns are all disturbed. Now, think of what is inside us as our inner climate. Right? What is inside us is the weather that we are trying to maintain. We don't want it to be too cold. We don't want it to be too warm. We don't want it to rain too much. We don't want it to be too arid. There is a comfortable climate that is there, and we are trying to maintain that inside. But this climate, this inner climate, is so fragile that every small change that happens around us can disturb it inside. Right? And if you look at it, everything that we do in our life is to maintain this climate. We try to secure a degree, we try to educate ourselves, we try to secure a job, a steady earning. We try to gather people around us so that we don't feel lonely. Everything that we do is to maintain this inner climate at a comfortable and suitable state, isn't it? And after doing all of this, we pile it up with our insurance. After all this, if something could go wrong, at least I can make some money out of it. So all of this we are doing with the motive that I should be able to maintain my inner climate. And when we are not able to do this with our own effort, or when we feel that our efforts alone are not sufficient, then we turn to God, isn't it? There's one of my classmates whom Swami called for an interview once. And along with him, Swami also called an elderly couple. And that elderly couple was talking to Swami, I don't know, in some other language. This boy was a Telugu boy. So he couldn't quite follow the conversation that was happening between this elderly devotee couple and Swami. But all he could make out was the couple were distraught. They were in tears, and Swami was consoling them. And Swami was explaining something to them, and they were heartbroken. They were pouring out their woes to Swami. And this boy had nothing to do with it. He was just sitting in the interview room, just watching this scene of this couple break down in front of Swami. So after a few minutes of speaking to that couple, Swami turns to this student, this classmate of mine. And Swami asked him, "Did you understand what is happening? Did you understand the conversation?" He said, "No, Swami, I didn't understand." Then Swami said, these two people, they came to me as a young couple. And Swami said, they came to me praying to me for a child. Swami said, I told them, see, why do you want to pray for a child? If you're not getting a child, leave it. Take it as God's will and accept it. And they said, no, Swami, we want a child. We have the desire to have a child. Please give us a son. Swami said, okay. I blessed them with a son. Few years later, they came back. They said, Swami, name the son. Swami said, I named the son. Then they came back. They said, Swami, we want to put the son in a school. Swami said, I blessed them. So in various stages of this journey of life, they keep coming back to Swami. He said, Swami, boy has finished his studies. He should get a good job. And finally, they came to me and said, Swami, the boy is old enough to get married. Please find a good match for him. Swami said he got married. I blessed the marriage. And then Swami saying, now this boy has left the mother and father and gone and settled somewhere else. Swami said they came crying to me for a son. Now they have come crying to me because of the son. Swami said the cycle is complete. The point is, if we constantly remain in the state where our worship, our Aradhana, our prayers are only a means to secure what we think we need in life, there is going to be no change in this inner nature of ours, isn't it? 20, 30 years back, I came asking something from Swami. Today, I might be asking something different, but still I am in the state where I am thinking that I need something and Swami is a means for me to achieve that. Well, even as I'm saying all this, let's not take it that I'm belittling the idea of praying for anything from Swami. Right? This is not to say that an Arti devotee is, oh, untouchable devotee. I should never be that. Or Artharthi is, oh, how can you be such a low minded person? Right? That's what we generally tend to think. Oh, I'm not that. Right? Probably many of us would be saying that to ourselves. That, thankfully, Swami, you should be lucky you have a better devotee in me. But the truth is, there is this very beautiful portion where Krishna speaks about this arthi, and jignasu. He says that, when you lead a normal life, you have this idea that I need this to be happy. I need food to be happy. I need a shelter above my head to be happy. I have a family, their health has to be good for me to be happy. Right? A person is dying, we pray not for that person. We pray for ourselves because we will miss if that person dies. Right? We are always only bothered about ourselves. So whatever we are doing, even for our family, is to secure our own happiness. So Swami says a normal life is you go about life trying to do all that you can do to get whatever you think will make you happy. Swami says after living hundreds and hundreds of such lifetimes, where you go through life trying to secure your happiness through your own efforts, after leading a good life, a moral life, being a person who is good to others, who's following dharma. Swami said, Krishna says, after hundreds of such lifetimes, the thought comes that I need something, let me turn to God. Right? To even be that arti, whom we are saying is the lowest level of a devotee, even when in pain, turning to God comes after many, many, many lifetimes of effort. Right? What we started off with, coming to Swami was not an ordinary blessing. Even if we have turned to Swami, I came to Swami because I needed education. And Swami was handing out free education. Who wouldn't want that? But wanting education and then turning to Swami, I think, was a grace. If somebody was sick, somebody was dying, and they've tried out every possible avenue and they turn to God, that turning to God, even to give themselves some solace, was a gift of grace. Right? So this is not to belittle the idea of an arti, artharti, and all of these devotees are saying that, oh, you ask something else from Swami, go and sit in the backside. Right? You're not really that special devotee. Because somewhere when I pray to Swami for something, say I am doing a business and I turn to Swami and I pray to Swami to help me in the business, somewhere I have got the wisdom to acknowledge that my actions alone are not enough. And tomorrow, when I'm successful, I probably will have the wisdom to acknowledge that this success has not come by my actions alone. That's why one of the elders once told me that prayer gives us humility. Right? What a true statement that is. Prayer gives us with humility, because when we pray and something happens, we will not claim that victory as our own. At least a little bit of credit we'll give it to Swami. Say, Swami, I prayed to you and you made it happen. But this is still going back to that point of making prayer not merely a means, but making prayer that process. And what is that process meant to do? What is the change that is meant to happen in us? Swami gives this beautiful analogy, I think, in Prema Vahini, if I'm not wrong, where he says the difference between an ordinary person, an ordinary worldly person, and a spiritual aspirant is like the difference between raw rice and cooked rice. Yes, Swami says raw rice and cooked rice. And he says it's the same, essentially the same. But the qualities are so different. Swami says that a spiritual aspirant should become different. In what sense? That question is still not clear, isn't it? Going back to the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is talking about different spiritual aspirants, there are any number of paths that you can take and any number of approaches. First, Krishna starts speaking about Sankhya Yoga, right? The path of pretty much like Advaita, of self-inquiry. So when he speaks about Sankhya Yoga, he describes a perfect yogi, right? If you follow the path of Sankhya, what will be your nature if you become perfect in that path? And he refers to that person as a Sthita Prajna. Later, Krishna starts speaking about Karma Yoga, the path of Karma Yoga. And then he describes a perfect Karma Yogi. And then Krishna starts speaking about Bhakti Yoga. And then he describes a perfect Bhakta, a perfect devotee. Interestingly, there is one thing which is common in all of these people: a Sthita Prajna, a Karma Yogi, and a Bhakta. Am I audible? I just lost the feed here. Yeah, sure. So when he speaks about a Sthita Prajna, when he speaks about a Karma Yogi, or when he speaks about, there is one thing that is common in all of them. When he speaks about the Sthita Prajna, he says, Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha, Sukeshu vigatasprihaha, which means in sadness, he is undisturbed. In pleasure, he is without craving. When he speaks about a Karma Yogi, when he speaks about the path of Karma Yoga and what happens when you become a perfect yogi, he says Samatvam Yoga Muchyate. And when he speaks about the Bhakta, he says Sama Sukha Dukkha Kshami. The common thing in all these three is that state of equanimity, isn't it? So to answer that question of what is the change that really has to come about within us, what is the change that Swami wants that each one of us should undergo, is from being this person whose inner climate is so fragile that every change that happens around can affect it, to coming to a state where we are equanimous and lesser things that happen around us affect us. I'll probably just take the process of Karma Yoga, right? Actually, there is no three. All three are the same, be it the path of inquiry, the path of karma, the path of bhakti. I'm just going to take the path of Karma Yoga because it is easier to apply in our everyday life, because we all are in need for performing karmas. We are all professionals in our own lives, or we are playing the roles of a homemaker, or we have these different roles that we are playing. So we all are performing karma. So to learn a little bit of Karma Yoga is very useful to all of us. So I'm going to take the path of Karma Yoga to just explain this process that happens. I'll start with a very beautiful analogy that Swami gives. The Sutra Vahini, if you read Swami's Sutra Vahini, Swami writes about the Brahma Sutras. And the Brahma Sutra starts with a very intriguing statement. It starts with Athatho Brahma Jignasa. The meaning of that statement is, from here, the quest for Brahman begins. Athatho Brahma Jignasa. The inquiry and the discovery of Brahman, of the Supreme, begins from this point. And Swami writes about that and says, who starts a discourse or a book like that? From hereafter, this will start. And Swami asks, what happens before that then? It's like starting a novel with they lived happily ever after. Like, you want to know what happened before that. So when you say Athato Brahma Jignasa, Swami says, okay, hereafter Brahma Jignasa, before this what? And Swami says, before Brahma Jignasa comes Karma Jignasa and Dharma Jignasa. Swami says the process is Karma Jignasa, Dharma Jignasa, and Brahma Jignasa. If Brahma Jignasa itself is confusing, Swami is adding two more terms to it, not adding to the clarity one bit, I'm sure. But then Swami gives this brilliant and lucid example. And even as I'm saying, what a beautiful example, Swami must be saying, don't appreciate my example. See if you're able to change yourself. Swami gives this example, and I think nobody can make it simpler than this. Swami says, imagine that you want to make coconut chutney. Right? One morning you get up, you've made idli or dosa, and you decide that I want to have this with coconut chutney. Swami says, what do you do if you want to make coconut chutney? The first thing that you do is you go and procure all the ingredients that are required for making the coconut chutney. The process of gathering the ingredients, Swami says, is karma jignasa. Suppose I decide that I want to become a doctor. That means that there are some actions that I have to perform in different stages of my life. Right? At some point, I have to join a school. At some point, I'll have to take certain subjects. At some point, I'll have to turn to a university, do a certain course. So if there is something that I want to achieve, there are different actions that have to be performed in different periods of time. And Swami says that is the process of karma jignasa. What do I have to do? The inquiry into what action has to be performed is karma jignasa. Then Swami says, having got all the ingredients, you will have to put it together in a certain way. Right? You can have the best of ingredients, but if you really don't know how to make coconut chutney, you can be sure that breakfast is gone. So Swami says karma jignasa is first to understand what are the various ingredients that go into that thing that you're trying to achieve, and what is the process involved and how are you going to put it together. What goes first, what goes next, what has to be ground, what has to be fried. Swami said all of this is karma jignasa. Finally, coconut chutney is ready. What do? Swami says you take one spoon and put it in your mouth. You taste it. That tasting, that process of tasting, Swami says, is dharma jignasa. Right? Is it appropriate? Yeah, I've got the ingredients. I've made the chutney, but is this appropriate to be eaten? That inquiry, Swami says, is dharma jignasa. So you put coconut chutney in your mouth and you realize the salt is less. So what do? You go back to the ingredients. So Swami says, if you are in a situation in life where you are having moral dilemmas,
dharma sankata, as they call in Sanskrit. You are not able to clearly decide what is right and what is wrong. Swami says, just like how you've made the chutney, you've tasted it, it is not good. You go back to the ingredients, you add a little more salt, you add a little more spice. Similarly, if in the process of deciding what is right and wrong, you have confusion, you have to go back to karma jijnasa. You have to go back to doing more good karmas. You have to go back to doing more of your duties. Eventually, you will come to a point where you put the chutney in your mouth and you say, this is suitable. Where you have clarity in life as what is to be done and what is not to be done. Then Swami says, finally, you'll put the chutney in your plate and eat it with idli and you'll be, nice breakfast. And Swami says, that is Brahma Jijnasa. The enjoyment of the ananda that you feel at the end of it, Swami said, that is Brahma Jijnasa. I don't think anybody has ever explained a concept as profound as this with a simple coconut chutney. And this is precisely the process that is happening to each one of us. If you look at the Vedas, right, the Vedas are divided into 3 portions. They say the Karma Kanda, the Upasana Kanda, and the Jnana Kanda. The first one is Karma Kanda, where it repeatedly tells you what are the different actions that have to be performed. If you're a householder, what is the action that you have to do? If you're a brahmachari, what is the action that you have to do? If you're a student, what is expected of you? If you're performing a certain ritual, if you're performing a marriage, what is expected of you? So this is, let us not complicate the whole thing. The process is, as I said, if I want to become a doctor tomorrow, or if I want to become a musician tomorrow, there are a certain set of actions that I have to put together. Right? That is what is referred to as karma kanda. That is what is referred to as what is the karma that I have to perform to achieve what I want to achieve. And when we've done everything, somewhere there will be this idea that I have put my best, but I still might fail. I always give this example. I find this very, very comforting, or maybe very graphic to go back to. When I was studying in the school in Chennai, we have this concept of writing the national level board exams during your 10th standard. So our school had a reputation for grilling the students so much that finally when you take that national level exam, you would get at least 20% more than your average till that point in your schooling. So if you were a 60% kind of a person, you'll end up getting an 80%. That's how much the teachers would work on you, and they would really prep you up to do well in that exam. So a year-long struggle for that national level exam. You can wake us up in the middle of the night. We can get up and give you answers to the questions. That's how much we've been prepared for it. We all go to the exam center. We are about to enter the exam hall. Our well-meaning teachers who have grilled us through the year, they come running to us and they say, please take Tirupati Prasadam. Some teacher has gone all the way to Tirupati and they've done some puja there saying that our students should do well. And they come running to us and say, take this Tirupati Prasadam, take the Shirdi Prasadam. And something they said was very interesting. The teacher who gave us that Prasadam, she said, see, you have put a lot of hard work. You have studied hard. You've tried to memorize as much as you can. And you're going to go and write this exam. But you never know the mood of the examiner who's going to correct your paper. That is totally out of your control. If the person who is correcting your paper has had a fight with his spouse and is in a bad mood and decides to give you lesser marks than you deserve, that's totally out of your control. So the teachers who had worked so hard for our success were saying that we have done everything that we can do, but we acknowledge that there is something that is beyond our control. And for that, we need God's grace. Right? This is what is referred to as the karma kanda of the Veda. They say that this is all thing that you have to do, but also worship God, because all said and done, there is going to be something that is beyond your control. There is so much that is beyond our control within our body. Right? One of my lecturers would say that imagine that you start developing some disease tomorrow, some sickle cell anemia or something. Can you command your body to become fine? Can you command your body to say that this organ, you better become fine and start working properly? He says, which means you don't even have control over your body. What you have been calling yourself, what you have been calling mine. That is how hopelessly out of control we are of our lives. And that is why we turn to God, because we need some semblance of control in this life. But as we go through this process of performing our actions and adding prayer to it to secure what we want to achieve, at some point it starts occurring to us that our actions or the actions of those around us is absolutely inconsequential. The dependence of our happiness, the dependence of our success becomes more on Swami, the component of divine grace, than karma. There's this beautiful episode which one of our lecturers narrates. He's a lecturer in the music college here. This was before the music college came into existence, and this person used to come as a sevadal. So he was saying that his seva was approaching and he got a few days extra. So he came a little early to Parthi. He thought that he'll spend a few days in Parthi before he has to report for the sevadal duty. So that day he comes to Prasanthi Nilayam, just lands in the ashram. As he's entering the ashram, he realizes that Swami has come out for darshan. So he quickly puts his luggage in one of the rooms and he rushes inside Mandir, thinking that, okay, let me go and have Swami's darshan. He goes and sits there. A couple of minutes after he sits down, Swami notices him and Swami tells him, go inside the interview room. That it just means sometimes things are so perfect. Some days you come and sit for months together and Swami will not look at you. So this person just enters the ashram, rushes into the Kulwant hall, sits down, Swami looks at him and Swami says, go inside the interview room. He goes inside the interview room, absolutely thrilled. And then Swami comes inside the interview room, and the moment Swami enters, Swami waves his hand and materializes a huge quantity of vibhuti. And this devotee is so happy. He said, my God, this is like dream come true. I come and instantly Swami picks me up. Swami gives me an interview, and then Swami is materializing vibhuti for me. Swami materializes this huge quantity of vibhuti, puts it in his hand, and immediately Swami says, this is not for you. He says, this is not for you. And Swami said, this is for Bhim Sen. For those of you who don't know, Bhim Sen Joshi was one of the greatest musicians in the recent, in recent history. He's no more, a great devotee of Swami, awarded the Bharat Ratna a few years ago. A great Hindustani singer. Swami materializes this vibhuti, puts it in this person's hand who is a tabla player. And Swami tells him, this is not for you, this is for Bhim Sen. And Swami says, go right now to Pune and give it to him. So this devotee accepts it and he says, okay, Swami. Swami said, right now, I want you to leave right now. So imagine he has just walked into the ashram and Swami gives him vibhuti and Swami says, right now, I want you to leave right now, go to Pune and give this to him. So he says, okay, Swami. And he literally comes out of the interview room, walks out, picks up his luggage. He says, I was in a daze. I don't even remember whether I took a train or a bus to Dharmavaram railway station. So he goes straight to the railway station, goes to the counter. He wants to buy a ticket to Pune. And as he is going to the counter, one man comes to him and says, I have an extra ticket to Pune. Would you like to take it? And he realizes that there's something more than what he can do in play. Right? He puts his hand in his pocket and pulls out the exact amount for the ticket comes out. Right? Not even the time that takes to count money and then take the change. Swami is ensuring that all of that is being taken out of the equation. He puts his hand in his pocket, the exact amount comes out in his hand, he gives it, buys the ticket, gets into the railway station, into the train, and starts moving. And somewhere midway, he stops down, makes a call to his family, and tells them, find out where is Bhimsen Joshi. Should I go to his house or is he anywhere else? And he comes to know that Bhimsen Joshi is going for a brain surgery on that particular day. And the hospital in which he is going to undergo the surgery is very close to the railway station. Right? So he gets down at the railway station in Pune, heads straight to that hospital, and he says that he goes there, the elevator is not working. So he takes the stairs, right? All of these details are really fascinating. He takes the stairs and heads straight to the operation theatre. And as he is walking towards the operation theatre, on the other side of the corridor, they are wheeling in Bhimsen Joshi to the operation theatre. So they're literally meeting at the entrance of the operation theatre. And he goes there, his son is there, his wife is there. And he says that Swami has sent me with prasadam. And the moment he says that, he realizes that this is why Swami has sent him prasadam. And the moment he says that, this great musician, this great devotee, his face lights up. Pandit Bhimsen Joshi's face lights up and he says, apply on my forehead. And immediately he takes vibhuti, he applies it on his forehead, he applies it on his chest. And this devotee, he looks at the doctor and he says, hey doctor, now kill me and show. He says, now you kill me and show because my Bhagwan has sent prasadam. Let me see what you can do now. It is one of the best hospitals in the city of Pune. Perhaps one of the best doctors were going to be treating him and going to be operating on him, given the stature of this gentleman who was one of the greatest musicians, singers. So what I'm trying to say is everything that has to be done according to the right action has been done by the family. The right hospital has been chosen, the right doctor has been chosen. What has to be done has been done, the pre-surgery procedure, whatever has to be done. But this great devotee places all his faith on the fact that Swami has sent him prasadam. And he looks at the doctor and says, now you can do anything because I know that my Bhagwan is taking care. So this process of we start with karma being what we are constantly engaged in because we are constantly worried about what is going to disturb us. What is going to disturb this inner climate? I need more money. I need more education. I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my children. I have to do this action. I have to do that action. I have to buy this property. We are constantly engaged in karma and we sprinkle it with a little bit of prayer to ensure that the karma is used well, the karma bears results. But as we go through years and years of this process of doing karma and doing upasana as an adage, as an add-on, at some point we come to this understanding that whatever happens in my life is happening out of His grace. Where karma becomes incidental, when karma becomes dispensable. Does that mean that I will stop doing my karma? If you're the father of a child and if you have this firm belief and surrender that Swami is the one who is taking care of my child, does that mean that you will stop doing the duties of a father? Will you stop doing the duties of a mother? No, you will continue to do your duties, which means you will continue to do your karma. But now the actions that you do become part of your prayer, isn't it? The duty that you perform, let us say that the doctor who is performing that surgery was a devotee. The doctor would look at his actions as part of his prayer, isn't it? I come here and deliver a talk. Somewhere in my mind, I at least have this little bit of understanding that it is Swami who speaks. There is a lot of ego, there is a lot of, I can't deny that. But somewhere there is this wisdom that it is Swami who speaks. But does that mean I have come here without preparing? I just have to show you my screen to show you my notes. But if I think that I am able to communicate to you because I have prepared, then I'm a fool. My preparation, my karma is part of my prayer to Swami. Right? When I started my talk, I said, Swami, give us the understanding that it is you who speaks. Swami, please speak through me. The karma that I performed till that culminated in that prayer becomes part of that prayer. Swami, this is the duty that I have to perform. I have performed it. I'm offering it to you. Now, my prayer is complete. The slow transformation of karma into upasana, where karma itself becomes your upasana, where me performing my duty becomes part of my prayer. Right? Prayer is not something that I add to my duty, but my duty becomes something that I add to my prayer. That is when Aradhana becomes my life. Right? Aradhana is not something that I come and perform once in a while, but it becomes my life. That's why Swami would repeatedly say the best example for that is the great devotee Radha, right? For whom the Aadhar of her life became the Aradhana. Dhara, Aradhana, Aadhar is for Radha. Her Aradhana was like a dhara, it was constant flow, there was no break in that flow. And that became the basis of her life. So she became that perfect devotee. And when she became that perfect devotee, Swami gives this beautiful explanation of Radha. There was one Swami was explaining this to a student, and Swami said, oftentimes Radha is always described as somebody in pain. Right? That she's always crying, she's always pining for the Lord, and she's always in tears. Swami said, actually, Radha was not like that. Radha was in a perfect state of equanimity, of samatvam. Then the students asked, but Swami, why do we always show her as being in pain? Apparently, Swami explained that she had become so much one with Prakriti that she started feeling the pain of other gopikas. It was not her own pain. Because in her own understanding, she had become one with Krishna. There was nothing to miss or nothing to crave for. So this change that we need to bring about, this change that is going to characterize our life, where prayer becomes a process and does not remain a means, is when our inner climate becomes independent of all these changes outside. Where anything can go wrong in my life, anything can go wrong in my health, in my financial status, to the near and dear ones around. But this inner climate is perfectly secure, because there is this sense that, as Pandit Bhimsen Joshi said, I have my Lord, now you can do anything to me, because whatever happens is going to be His will. There is nothing that is going to disturb my inner peace. I'll probably end with one small episode that I heard narrated by one of the members of the Venkatagiri family. For those of you who know, Venkatagiri Raja was a great devotee of Swami. Swami used to visit the Venkatagiri palace so many times in a year. And in the Venkatagiri palace, one of the great scholars was this devotee by name Tirumalachar. Even today, all around the world, devotees of Swami sing the Suprabhatam, the Sathya Suprabhatam, that was composed by this devotee Tirumalachar. A great scholar, Vedic scholar, and he also happened to be the Telugu teacher for all the children in the palace. Whenever Swami would stay in the palace in Venkatagiri, he had a very unique and very special blessing of doing what is referred to as an Ekanta Seva, which means when Swami is going to bed, he would be the last devotee in Swami's room performing Pada Seva as Swami is reclining on his bed. Nobody else, only he would be there. Till Swami would sleep, he would perform Pada Seva and he would leave. Referred to as Ekanta Seva. So apparently one day, Tirumalachar came out one morning and his face was glowing. His face was glowing and he was extremely happy. He was exuding bliss. So one of the people went and asked him, what happened? What transpired between you and Swami that your face is glowing and you seem to be in a state of ecstasy? So then this great Tirumalachar Garu, he narrated a conversation that happened between him and Swami the previous night. He was saying that Swami was reclining on his bed and he was doing Pada Seva. And suddenly a thought occurred to him. And he looked at Swami and said, Swami, can I ask you something? Swami was lying down, eyes closed. Swami said, Adugu, ask. And this great devotee, elderly gentleman, great scholar, he asked Swami, Swami, are you in my heart? Swami, are you in my heart? Meaning, Swami, have you established yourself in my heart? Have you enthroned yourself in my heart? Swami said, yes, I have. Yes, I am in your heart. And this devotee looked at Swami and said, Swami, can I ask you one more thing? Swami said, Adugu. And he said, Swami, Tamari manasulo nenu unnana. He said, Swami, am I there in your heart? The first question is, are you there in my heart? Swami said, yes. And he said, Swami, but am I there in your heart? Swami was lying down with his eyes closed, got up and sat down. And this devotee said, Swami, am I there in your heart? And if I am there, my only prayer is, let me remain there forever and ever. And Swami put his hand on his head and Swami said, Tadastu, 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 Tappagunda. Definitely, I bless you so. And this devotee came out having secured the greatest of blessings, having placed before the Lord the best of prayers. And he was saying that there is nothing more that I need to ask for. There is nothing more that I need to seek for. And just a few days after that, this devotee concluded his earthly sojourn and merged in Swami. We all are restless, and that is how in some way we've been drawn to Swami. Swami has blessed us with restlessness. So in some way we are continuing to be attached to Swami, I suppose. But as we place our prayers before Swami, as we continue to worship him, let us hope that at some point all of these restlessness gets consumed by this one restlessness for him and him alone. Because nothing else is ever worthwhile compared to him, isn't it? So as we celebrate this Aradhana celebration, as we observe this Aradhana festival, let us make this prayer that Swami, as we place all of these prayers, may they all culminate in this one prayer. As that great devotee said, Swami, are you in my heart? Am I in your heart? This alone is enough. This alone is the prayer that I want you to bless. Everything else, whether you choose to bless me or choose not to bless me, you choose to answer it, not to answer it, give me, not to give me, I leave it up to you. But this is one prayer that you have to answer. If of all the million prayers I place in front of you, if you ask me to choose one prayer, let me choose this prayer. Swami, let me remain in your heart forever and ever. May you remain in my heart forever and ever. And may we live in this oneness forever. With these few words, I most humbly offer this at Bhagwan's lotus feet. I thank each one of you for your very patient listening, and I'm ever grateful to Swami for allowing me to continue to think of him, continue to play this role that he has blessed me with. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram, Brother Prem. Thank you so much for sharing Swami's love with all of us. And you touched upon many, many wonderful stories of Bhagwan. Um, I'm not here to thank you for reminding us or re-reminding us that what Swami looks to see in us, not appreciation, but definitely transformation. That said, I'm not here to appreciate your talk. Of course, it's like heart melting, and it's definitely, I can see the hall. In general, whenever March April comes in, Georgia has habit of receiving special blessing, where every other minute we all get bless you, bless you, bless you from somewhere or the other. Because of the pollen, everybody runs into these allergies. But today, with that, people also carry tissues, napkins, whatnot. But today in our hall, I can see tissues may not be there, but I see the misty watered ice, across the hall. And all that I can say uh, is that most heartfelt gratitude to Swami for sharing his love through you. And we really pray and prayerfully hoping that you will visit us in person and share, Swami's more of his love. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय 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 विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Om Sai Ram. Today is a very, very special day for all of us and especially for me. That on this Aradhana day, I was told to introduce my sister, dear sister, Seema Dewan. It's a day that I have been waiting for years. I know a lot of our family, Atlanta Sai family, has been waiting for years for her to come visit our center. So it's a very, very special day, and we welcome you with a lot of love, and we are very, very happy to have you here. Sister Seema needs no introduction to our Sai family. She is my sister, my little sister, that we grew up in Bombay together, in Bombay and now Mumbai together. We have spent our childhood together. She was with me all the way during my wedding. She has been with us as a pillar in all aspects of our life, from any aspect, from health to marriage to any important part of our life. She has been a pillar for us. It is her books that everyone knows about, like Sai Darshan, is my prayer book every day that I connect with her. I connect with her and think about her every day as I read one page. That's my prayer every day. I pick one page and I read that every day. And I think about Sai Swami, and Sister Seema. She was a fun-loving, very fun-loving child, as a sister that we grew up with a very contagious laughter. If she laughed, we all laughed. Very, very contagious laughter, and always has been a Baba devotee as a child with experiences that she had that nobody could understand. None of us, her parents, no one could understand what she was saying when she would say things about Baba visiting her at home, Baba coming to her. She is a complete example of living with Swami. A complete example from the smallest of things, from what I know, for what food she can eat, what clothes she can wear, where she can go, who she can talk to. It is everything is connecting with Swami, and only when she gets Swami's okay is what she does. That's how I know her to be, as a complete example. I have the pleasure, thank you Swami, I have the pleasure of introducing my dear sister Seema, and we welcome her to the center. Sai Ram.
Dearest Bhagwan, thank you for calling me to your home in Atlanta. Thank you for letting me spend the most marvelous day with your beautiful devotees here. I pray that you bless each of the families that are present here. And I also pray that each of them can feel your presence today. What can I say, Atlanta? I have waited from 2003 to arrive here. You invited me in 2003. I had a bunch of devotees that used to visit my home in North Canton, Ohio, where we had our center there. And they would always come to me and say, Sister Seema, you need to come to our center. And I asked Swami in 2003, I said, Swami, Atlanta is one of the centers that is calling me over and over again. And he had a wide smile on his face and said, yes, yes, you will go. You will go very quickly. It's been 21 years. So when Swami says you're going to go very quickly, his time frame is very, very different from our time frame. I was just laughing yesterday as Brother Ravi came to pick us up, very kind to pick us up from the airport. He and his wife Ramani have treated us just like gold. And both his children have helped their parents, I think, throughout, giving their 100%. I really feel this is an exemplary family that I need to point out, and we need to give them a hand for what they do. There is one thing Swami used to always shout at me. He used to say, you have 99% faith. I want that 1%. I think Atlanta, yesterday I got the 100% faith. And I will tell you why also. While driving with Brother Ravi, and praying very hard and reaching safely in my hotel made me feel, okay, Swami, today I gave you my 100%. So thank you so much. I think Swami will never complain about that anymore. I have a bunch of notes here because Swami had given me, as you know, I'm a writer, and Swami made me the writer. Of course, I was not a writer at all. My English teacher often kicked me out of my class because my essays weren't that great. But when you meet the Lord, He can make you anything. And when I was 7 years old, I was sitting one day with my dad, and my dad used to love to read Swami Vivekananda. And I took one of his little booklets and read some of his teachings, and I got very inspired. And I took part of his teachings, wrote it down in my little baby handwriting, and showed it to my dad and said, "Look what I wrote." And of course I knew I was fibbing, but there was a strong inner pull inside of me at that time to receive this kind of inspirational writing. And I had no idea. I think even that episode that happened with my dad was something that was already formulated by Bhagwan, knowing that in a few years when I meet him and he touches his hand on my head and gives me a pen to write, that I will have a pen to write, hopefully until my last breath. And I will be able to share those writings with you every morning when I write and I spend time with Swami. All of you are in my heart because I can't wait to share these teachings with you that I receive. I'm equally excited. I am myself crying and weeping when I receive these. And I think my children know because they are my hotline that receive the messages first. And then, of course, they have helped me to connect with the world. Like Anita said, I was a very different person. I was a very sociable person when I was a young child. I went for parties. I had a ball. I did a lot of good things in life. I was spiritual on one hand, but I loved enjoying life at the same time. Meeting Swami in person changed my life completely. It's not that I stopped laughing. I still laugh. I'm still very silly, and I like being silly still. I still joke. I still do all of that stuff. But Bhagwan gave me a direction and guidance so strong. The thing he told me when I first met him, I asked him, I said, "Swami, what is it that you want me to do in life?" And let me go back a little bit. When you enter an interview room with Swami, I used to be younger and I used to see people going in
that was there. And they were all sitting, and Swami said, "Why are you wasting so much money on plane tickets and coming here? I'm there with you." I said, "No, Swami, no." And then they got emotional. And Swami, one thing is, he doesn't like emotion. Swami loves smiling laughter. He doesn't like this kind of and crying and lips quivering. He likes you to be very much in control and smiling and be very together, graceful and poised. So some of the ladies got up and started weeping and said, Swami, we have come here for your love, Swami." And Swami, I wondered what Swami was going to say back, because they were so emotional. I thought Swami will have a tear too and say, "Don't worry, child, I am with you." He looks at them, he gets a crinkle on his forehead and says, "Why? No love in Iran?" I thought, wow, there was such an answer. No, Swami, you just stopped. All the emotions stopped immediately. He tapped their emotion out with that one answer. Why? No love in Iran? So Swami seeing Swami and being with Swami is absolutely a delight. It's, I have recently received certain questions, especially from the young adults, that say, Swami's teachings are outdated. Swami's teachings are not relevant anymore. Things like that, when I hear things like that, I want to go and hug those people that are asking or speaking of those kind of things. It's like saying, you know what? My mom now is 50 years old or 60 years old and she's not relevant anymore to me. Would you say that? If you would not say that
about your parents, why would you say that about the Lord of the universe? His teachings, I was just watching this right here, the flame that is burning. It's beautiful. It was drawing me throughout Brother Prem's talk. Very beautiful to have that. This flame signifies eternal truth. What is eternal truth? Eternal truth is that very essence in your soul that allows you to be you. Without that, you cannot be you. The question when we receive, are those teachings, the teachings of truth, relevant today? I mean, are you saying that the truth has to move according to technology today or the new generation today? No. Mothers will remain mothers, fathers will remain fathers. Yes, they may be more educated, they may be going to work, they may be doing a lot of things that are beyond what the previous generations didn't do. But is truth not relevant today because we are moving at a faster pace? That is absolutely not true. Bhagwan has given me so many books, and I rarely have time sometimes to read the Sathya Sai Speaks or the Vahinis. But sometimes I will pick it up, and I actually, instead of him giving me an instruction, I go to my altar and instruct him. I said, Swami, no talking to me for another 2 hours. I want to read what you spoke in this world. You're asking me to go and speak outside in the world. I need to know what discourses you give. I can't tell them in the omniscience he's told me this and that. Okay? I need to know what's really going on when you lived in this body and what you spoke. And even, it's the sad part is, even when I read that one paragraph of the Sathya Sai Speaks, there is so much truth in it that I go into a trance and I take my iPad and there I start typing again because he starts speaking again. Each time you will read these Vahinis, each time you will read the Sathya Sai Speaks, as you grow as a person, it's going to be more relevant to you. It is not, the relevance of his teachings are not according to times. They are according to how you are growing as a person. Swami's teachings do not reflect social norms. You may choose to do anything you want personally as a person. That is fine. That is wonderful. That is no problem at all. Everyone is welcome. We are a tolerant, acceptant group. We are all different people. We are all sitting together. We have one common thing. We love God. Correct? Yes? That's the only thing that's common right now. Otherwise, we are all very different. Right? But we all accept each other. We love each other. And we grow with each other. Okay? So I felt the emails and the talks that have come to my attention, having been so close to Swami in the physical form as well as continuing to be in the omniscience, I feel that the children that are sitting here in the front pick up the Sathya Sai Speaks and pick up the Vahinis, make notes on them, and you will realize that the notes you make today and the notes again you will make again 10 years later, you will realize your growth, not Swami being relevant or not relevant. Is that good? Are we on the same page? Good. So this was an unusual thing happening at my home 2 days before I have come to your home. And the only person that has been a witness to this along with me has been Karan, and Karan is not here with me today. Strange enough, there was a bird that would come circling and would bang its head against my window while I'm typing Swami's messages and it would happen every 3 minutes. So the first thing, look at my mind, I went and looked at the window to see if it's okay. See how petty. So Swami said, why are you looking at the window? Think of the bird that's hitting its head constantly, right? So I went outside, I hushed the bird out. I said, okay, the bird needs to leave. And it would listen to me for 10 minutes and back again. And Karan's there studying and telling me, whoa, this bird's gonna lose all its marbles in the head. Mom, is no test for this guy. So we were laughing and joking and trying to get this poor bird to try to see that this is a window. Finally, Karan Googles this. He says, okay, let me see why this bird's doing that. I said, I think it's blind or something. He says, no. He comes downstairs and he says, I found out why this bird's doing that. I said, why? He said, it's a male bird and it's dominant in this particular area, and when it looks at the window, it thinks it's another male bird and it's trying to attack it. So I was sitting with Swami the next day and I said, wow, Swami, look at that bird. And Swami said, why that bird? All of you are doing it. All of you are establishing control in your and dominance in your region, and look what is happening to that bird. Did I not tell you, don't plan, don't worry? And that was his main this. I said, yes, Swami. He said, see, if you don't plan and you don't worry, you won't go like a circle like this bird is doing, establishing your dominance at home, establishing your dominance at work, establishing your dominance in Sathya Sai organization. You lose all of that, because what we are fighting against, the bird has the whole open universe behind it, but it is obsessed by the reflection it's seeing. And it was a very powerful lesson I learned yesterday. This was just day before yesterday. And I thought, wow, I should share this. This is so awesome, because it taught me something. It taught me that I shouldn't be so narrow-minded and only reflect on what is inside of me and think the whole world to be that. There is no world in that. It's just a window. The real world, if I turn around, and that's the Lord, if I turn around to Him, I see the right world. this was in 2003, I think 2002 to 2006. I used to get certain inspirational songs from Swami. And I took the book of songs to him in one of the interviews, and he took the song book on his lap, and he said, "What is this?" I said, "Swami, this is the songs that you give me." He said, "Ha." And then he looked at me and with a very naughty face, and he said, "You sing?" Of course, I don't sing well at all. I said, "Swami, only in the shower I'm singing when you give me these songs. I am not going to be brave." So he laughed. He said, no, these are good songs. He went through the songs. And so he said, you can sing sometimes when you talk later, he told me. After you're fully stationed in the truth and you talk later, I want you to sing these songs. So I'll sing one of the songs. Do you guys have a bass note to give me? Okay, before he brings that. He's got it, okay. That's too low, Krish. There's one more thing I wanted to share with you. Okay, where is it? Yes. I have an acronym for Atlanta when I was writing your talk, and I wonder if you want to use it later when Swami gave this to me. He said Atlanta, AT. AT is always trying. Okay? Always trying for what? Always trying for peace. Okay? So those should be your norms that you have, your rules. LA, loving all. Loving all with tolerance and acceptance. NT, noble thinking, he said. God above all thoughts. And the last is awakening. Awakening to a life of goodness and not desiring greatness. So always trying for peace, loving all with tolerance and acceptance, noble thinking, which is God above all thoughts, and awareness of life of goodness and not desiring any greatness. This is a fabulous acronym for you. I thought you could use it in your center, and it'll motivate all your youth and your little children that are going to grow up to be fabulous Sai leaders. Will you love me? Will you stay with me? Will you come to me tomorrow? This is the devotee telling the Lord, right? Will you love me? Will you stay with me? Will you come to me tomorrow? And then the Lord answers. What does he say? I am in your heart. I am with you now. I'm the smile that wipes your sorrow. The Lord is saying, why tomorrow?
I'm with you now, right? We go to God and say, tomorrow, God, tomorrow will you this? He says, no, ask for me, I'll do it right now for you. Then the devotee says, will you help me? Will you save me? Will you turn my life to your name? The Lord's name is most powerful for the devotee. Once you have his name, I realized that in my parts of my difficulties, I've been very, very close to Swami. Right now, I can tell you openly, I'm one with Swami. I don't know where is Swami and where is me at times. Do I have difficulties? For sure. Do I have ups and downs? For sure. Does it affect me? Maybe for 2-3 minutes. A tear will come, a fear will come. But then what do I say? Oh my gosh, I will let go of
His feet, and I cannot do that. I don't care what difficulty it is. I am returning to you. So the Lord replies back, I am in your strength. I am your best friend. With my grace, you shall come one day. Will you change my ways? Will you turn my days? Will you bring your light in my life? And then the Lord replies, all is my play. In all is my way. So give your life in my hands today. Why wait for tomorrow when you have me now? Hold my hand and pass your days. Hold my hand and pass your days. And then the devotee hears this, but the next day again starts, will you love me? Will you stay with me? Will you come to me tomorrow? I am in your heart, I am with you now. I'm the smile that wipes your sorrow. Will you help me? Will you save me? Will you turn my life to your name? I am in your strength, I am your best friend. With my grace you shall come one day. Will you change my ways? Will you turn my days? Will you bring your light in my life? All is my play, in all is my way. So give your life in my hands today. Why wait for tomorrow when you have me now? Hold my hand and pass your days. Are we ready to do that? Are we ready to hold his hand and pass our days with him? Yes? I want to hear a loud yes. Yes. Good. Okay, let's move ahead and see what else the Lord wants to talk to us about today. I wanted to pay my respects to my 86-year-old mother at home. She has, she forgets a lot these days, and that's okay because she hasn't forgotten us as her children. But every day when I call her, and I call her like maybe 4 or 5 times a day to make sure she takes her meds, because she'll forget to take her meds if I don't call her. She picks up the phone, and then the first thing she will tell me is, you know, I don't need medicines. Baba is there. And then the second thing she'll say, you know, Seema, I really love God. And she says that at 11 o'clock, then at 1 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock. Each time I call her, the same thing, because she forgets she's had the conversation with me. You know, Seema, how much I love God and how much He loves me. And I'm so grateful I have this bhakti. And that's it. then she doesn't make that much conversation, but this is a conversation. And I thought to myself that day, this is the best conversation I have throughout the day, because she reminds me, and she thinks she's forgetful, but she reminds me that I don't need anybody other than God. I'm grateful to Him. I love Him, and He loves me. So I offer my respects to her today. I know she's watching me. If you're watching me, Mommy, I love you. You know, I've been here for now 35 years. Don't calculate my age, please. I don't want you to do that. I know you're going to start doing that. But I've been here for a while, and I have always, I love being an Indian. I love being, my country means the world to me. I mean, this country has given me a lot. They have given me a lot of love. But I love my country because of the culture we grew up with, the family structure that I grew up with, the love and the understanding and the security that we grew up with. And I know we have a lot of technology these days and a lot of friendships these days and a lot of texting going on these days, but there is a loss of a family life that needs to come back, a family life of love, a family life of trust, understanding, respect for parents, respect for elders, love and understanding towards children. That family structure, if we lose the right of even being called coming from India or having our ancestors come from India. Swami, whenever I got a chance to speak to him, he's the Lord of the universe, right? But he was born in India. He was a patriot. Swami loved his country. Swami loved the culture of the country. And Swami was not a person who did not believe in moving forward scientifically and technology. No, that he was very happy with those things. But he loved the love that bonded families together. And if that love between the families don't remain, be certain that our communities will suffer, our schools will suffer, and our country will suffer, and the whole world will be throwing arrows and hatred towards each other. I'm going to, this talk that I want to give, that I want to continue on, is, I'll tell you the story about how I started my center in North Canton, and what are the rules and regulations Swami loved while running a center. I think this is very important in today's environment of bringing in how Swami wants you to come to his home. See, he used to tell me, he said, when you go into the center, do you leave both your shoes outside? Yes, who's left their pair of shoes outside today? All of us, correct? He said, remember, think of one pair of your shoes to be your desires that you're leaving outside. The second is your attachments. He said, think of your shoes. When you're taking those shoes off, I'm not going to tell myself what I want anymore. I'm not going to be attached to what I think anymore. Because attachments are nothing but thoughts, that you get married to your thoughts. And Swami said, when you enter a center, realize, this is my home. I have already entered in the center. You don't have to welcome me. I'll be welcoming you. But the dust of my feet are everywhere as you're entering. So now, when we come in, we are adhering to his way of thinking. We are adhering to, these are not rules and regulations that he put. These are actually beautiful guidances that he put for us, so that when we come here and we find our peace, we find our strong thinking back again before we go back out. And we should not bring all of that into these centers here. So I will tell you how, I will narrate to you the incident of how my center began. This was my center, I had my center from 1999 to 2010. And then 2010, he told me to stop the center. In 2011, Swami took his leave in the physical presence. 1999, he called us for Shivratri. I have an issue when I go to Parthi. I like to go when there are fewer people because I'm very selfish. I want the Lord to look at me, right? So I think of myself, okay, if there are going to be too many people, I'll be placed here, then will he be able to look? I'm doing all these calculations before going, unnecessary calculations, because you could be sitting in row 200 and Swami, if he wants you, he will find his way to you. So he had called me for Shivratri, and what I did is we booked our tickets, but I booked the tickets 2 days before Shivratri. I told my husband, let's come back, the crowds will be big. It's almost Shivratri. I used to use this very smartness and convenience in front of Bhagwan. So I had a dream, darshan, that was end of January. And what I dream is, Swami is circling, he's doing like wheelies around in circles, very fast, very, very fast. I'm standing right in the center, there's no one there, and he's circling, it's almost like a Natraja, very, very fast. I couldn't even see him anymore. It was just like the wind moving. And then he came and he landed on a table right in front of me and he said, take Pada Namaskar. And I happened to touch his right big toe. And when I touched that, there was like an electric current you cannot imagine. In my sleep, I was feeling that vibration of energy. And when I woke up, and just before I woke up, he said in the dream, come for Shivratri. So I woke up, I said, oh wow. And so the whole day, those vibrations of that Pada Namaskar was with me. I called my husband at work and I said, we'll have to change our tickets. Swami has said, come for Shivratri, we have to change. So we changed our tickets, we had to pay the penalties, and we went to Parthi. On the day we were supposed to leave, which is 2 days before Shivratri, Swami called us for an interview. Now that time is very busy, so usually Swami won't call, but it was, and it's not that we were any kind of VIPs or anything. He called us from a crowd. He called me from a crowd. He said, come. So I took Karan and Krish. We went inside there and he said, when are you leaving? It was supposed to be on that day. But we had extended the tickets. So I was now very proud that I had followed the dream. I said, okay, that's fantastic. So I said, Swami, you came in my dream. And he said, He's looking at me very sternly, the Shiva look. And I said, Swami, we changed our tickets. We are going to stay for Shivratri. He said, very happy. He said. Then so he spoke to us and he said, when are you leaving? I said, Swami, day after Shivratri. He said, okay. This was 1999. I had no idea that he was going to be removing another lingam after several years. Now, on that day of Shivratri, Karan and Krish fell ill. And so, as parents, Sanjeev and I had to divide our duty. So I told him, I'll ask Swami what time you should go and then what time I should go. So he said, okay. So Swami said, send your husband from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 a.m. in the night. At 2 a.m. you come till 6 o'clock. Now, no one knew about him taking out the lingam, and so I told my husband said, that's very good, that's better timing for me, even nothing is going to happen in the night anyway, that's fine. So he came back sharp at 2 a.m. and I went with Karan and Krishna were at home. I went alone and I got like the 15th or 20th row at the back there, and I went into absolute bliss with the bhajans. I had gone into a trance and I was enjoying the bhajans. And at about 5:45, Swami came. And even when Swami came, I was not paying attention. My eyes were closed. I was so much in bliss that I opened my eyes for a second and closed my eyes back again. And then Swami went and sat down on the dais there. And then Swami from within told me, open your eyes now and stare at me. So it was 5 to 6 about that time. I started staring at him and I was looking at him, and I saw suddenly at about 6:05 he started sipping some water. And still, see, I never knew about all this lingam and stuff like that. So I had no idea that he's going to be doing that. 5 minutes later, I see him taking out the lingam. I see a white streak of light from his mouth. And as that white streak of light comes out, I see a room in my mind. And it was the exact way I formed the center. The deities on the walls, the whole puja room came in front of me, and I said, what is this, Swami? He said, this is your center that is going to begin in North Canton, Ohio. You're going to start a center. I was never a person who liked to start a center because I did not like to be involved with the debates in the center, as I would say. I like to go to the center, I like to go for bhajans and silently walk out without talking to anybody. So when he said that, that means I'm going to have interaction. And when there is interaction, there are lots of ups and downs, especially if you're holding the center in your home. So when I went back home, I called a builder. And there are certain ways Swami wanted this center built. And for example, the builder that came with 4 people, they were tortured for those 3 months because they had to eat a meal at our home every day, and they ate meat, and I had to give them all vegetarian food, and they would run away and say, we'll go, ma'am, and we'll go and eat our own food. I said, no, please eat this because you're making a room for me that's very auspicious, so I need to feed you every single day when you're making this room. So Swami's rules for the center were very, very stringent. And not because he's strict or he wants you to have a hard time when you come here, he actually wants you to get maximum grace when you come to a center. So when you enter a center here, don't think that you have just come to say, hi, did you eat yesterday? Don't do that. Don't do that. You lose all your energy. You have come here to be at the feet of the Lord of the universe. And so you have to take that extremely seriously, because whatever changes he is going to make in you is going to be right now. Don't think this is an empty chair. This is not an empty chair. Swami is sitting on this chair right now while you're sitting there, waiting to give you grace, waiting to give you grace. You have to just be in the mode of that 100% faith that I just received yesterday, driving with Brother Ravi. If you get that faith, your center will change completely when you come here. So I will read to you some of the things that he told me while I was conducting a center in person during the interviews during the 11 years. And I followed those very stringently. The first thing he said is be silent within. When you enter a center, don't carry your worries and difficulties with you at that time. He knows everything. You come fully charged with your devotion here at the center. Because when you're fully charged, the moment he touches you, you receive his grace immediately. So be silent inwardly when you come. let your mind, now I also don't want you to be at a point where somebody says Sai Ram to you and you say, no, don't talk to me. Seema the one said, no talking. Don't create fights for creating peace. Have the wisdom of what you're doing. You should smile, say Sai Ram, and sit down. The person's way of being, your way of being, will make the person understand that you are not only directing yourself towards Bhagwan, but out of love and compassion directing the other person also to Bhagwan. Don't have that high-handedness. I've seen it, that's why I'm telling you. I have explained the same thing in my center, and I've seen two people fighting, saying, Sai Ram, don't talk to me, you always talk to me, my grace is gone today for the day. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make, we are all mature adults. We have not come here to fight, and we have not come here to grab something from God. We are singing things in His glory. We are speaking and listening about His glory. We are together in this journey. We are helping each other in this journey. We are not against each other in this journey. So be silent within. Let your mind be filled with faith as soon as you enter my home. That's a powerful thing. As soon as you enter, he used to tell me, say to yourself, nothing wrong will happen now. Everything is going to be okay. Just say that to yourself. I practiced that for several years. If I used to feel that, I used to go down to my center and say, Swami, I've come. Everything is going to be fine. I know everything is looking up and down, but everything is going to be okay. Empower yourself with faith. Don't just sit here singing bhajans or reading just to be in a certain position in the organization or to be in the forefront in the organization. We are all in the forefront right now with him. All of us are. You're sitting in the first row or 20th row. You are in the forefront with Bhagwan. Trust me. Whether you're an officer or you're not an officer, he will treat you the same exact way. In fact, he'll be stricter with the officers. He will expect more discipline out of them. Okay? So it's not that somebody serving the organization has a higher hand on you than another. No. You have nothing to fear. Give me all your troubles, he said, and I will give you instant peace, he told me. Give me all your troubles and I will give you instant peace. He's not even saying I'll give you peace in time. Instant peace. So let's have that faith. We call each other brother, we call each other sister, we are calling each other all of this. Let's behave like one family. Let's behave like one Sai family now. We are here not only to receive but to give each other. And when you receive, yes, you get joy. But when you give somebody even a little bit of your joy to someone else here, just see the joy you will carry back home. Swami used to tell me that. One small deed that you will do that is good, that is selfless, you will be saying it to yourself all through the drive. I did that today. Wow, thank God she smiled. So sweet when she smiled, because you're feeling her joy. Then you want to go and tell others also, you know what happened at the center today? So-and-so couldn't have this, I helped out on this and she was so happy. It's that joy is multiplying in you. You're not showing off, okay? It's just because the joy is not being contained. That joy of giving is great. Let's give that joy, right, of giving. Does everybody want to do that today? Let's start that today. We are making these promises in front of him today. How about that? Yes? So each time we read that, we'll say, Swami, we will give you all our troubles and you will give us instant peace and we will give that instant peace to each other. Yes? Is that a deal? Good. Okay, second one. I am serving you in the center of peace. I am doing everything. Remember that. So if you set up the altar, whoever set up the altar yesterday, Swami set up the altar. Swami chose you to set up the altar. Who did the music yesterday? Who did the music practice yesterday? Swami chose you. Remember the sense of responsibility you have when that happens. Those that are appointed as officers have one duty: to love all unconditionally. They must have the minds of steel, he told me, and the hearts of butter. Those that are officers in this organization have to do things in the right way. Yes, but they can do it kindly. That has to be done. Swami is not saying do the right things in a bad way. You see, what happens is when you become an officer in the organization, you feel empowered. You feel, okay, I can get a row 1 seat now when I go to Parthi. I know so-and-so, I know his name, I'm attached to this person. And so what happens to that person when he does or she does the work? They will say, my gosh, what a headache it is. These regular devotees. I've heard people saying like that. These regular. So what are you, buddy? You're not a regular devotee when you're an officer? Huh? Are you an extraordinary devotee because you have a little badge? Not so. Actually, you are carrying the slippers of the Lord. Huh? You are actually touching the dust of the Lord. You have been given that job right now. Take that very seriously. Swami says, this much pride if you have, this much pride. Whatever you have in your bank right now, I'll make you exhaust it. But wait, beware for that day when that particular bank account has been finished. Forget officer, nobody in the world will respect you. You will receive a lot of disrespect. So there is no ordinary devotee in Sai's mission. Everyone is an extraordinary devotee. Each one is doing extraordinary work. Okay? Then he said to me, I am the best friend of all those that place their lives upon my feet. You are here to know only of me and sing, hear, and speak of my life. You have the purpose to be my children and make your lives a reflection of my teachings. We have a serious responsibility here. Whatever we think, speak, and do with each other here, we are reflecting Swami. Because if anybody else, a new person has come in, and you say, come on, welcome to our center, this is our Guru, and your behavior is contradictory, that person will not only not return, but that person will go and talk about Swami outside and say, these guys, there's a cult there where they meet. You should see how they are. So how when we invite a guest at our home, what is the first thing we do? We clean up our homes, right? We clean up our homes. Why do we do that? Right? We don't want, that reflects us. Imagine calling a guest and clothes are thrown on the floor, a banana skin is there. Will you call a guest like that? No. In the same way, when we behave in this particular manner, we are reflecting Swami. I established the rules of the center only for your benefit. So whatever the rules and regulations of the center are, let's not fight about how the rule can be better. Let's realize that those rules are merely guidelines for us to become better people. Follow the rules and the discipline of the center and realize that your determination to please me will give you the strength to succeed in all your undertakings. You have to be able to please God in whatever you're doing. Even the smallest work, when he used to talk to me, and I used to tell him, Swami, what are your instructions? He says, whatever you do in the house, even if you're cleaning the toilets of the home, sing my bhajans and do that. Realize that everywhere, every work that you're doing becomes grace the moment you have taken my name in it. It will create grace for you. It will create positive vibrations for you. So we are here to create positive vibrations of Swami here together. Then he says, there is no ordinary devotee. Each of you play a large role in my mission. Don't ever think that you are not visible to me. You are extraordinary the moment you are being responsible by not hurting anyone. That one thing if we can do is not hurting anyone. If you just practice that one value, it will lead you to all the values. I know this, I hope I'm not boring you with this, because this is extremely important. They were given to me by Swami, so I want to pass this on to you. I promise you in my second talk, I'll give you a lot of laughter, I'll give you experiences that time. But let's be a little bit serious and understand why we are gathering here, why there should be no fights in the centers, and what is our responsibility when we come to a center. He says, I ask you to not be angry at any time with anyone. Once you learn the lesson of patience, you will teach many to transform and become team members to follow my guidance. Our patience transforms people. I was asking Swami the other day, I said, Swami, you spoke about Satyuga and Golden Age. When is that going to come? And Swami said, when are you going to start it? He told me. When are you going to start it? Am I responsible for the Golden Age? You all are responsible. You become good, the Golden Age will be right here. He said, Golden Age is not something like that. When you get up, everything is gold inside the house and everybody is suddenly walking in that. There is a fantastic miracle happening, extraordinary miracle. He said, your work will lead to the Satyuga, to the Golden Age. So if we want the Golden Age to come, let's start it today in Atlanta here. On April 20th, 2024, Golden Age began because Atlanta devotees took this so seriously and made it their life. Let's do that. He says, do not point fingers on those that work hard for my mission. You know how we are? We love to see other people's weaknesses because it empowers us, but actually it doesn't empower you. You will feel very weak. You will become weaker the moment you see someone else's weakness. So he says, don't get angry at any time. Be tolerant to their efforts. When you complain and gossip of another, you hurt me first. Remember that always. However bad you're feeling, I've gone through this. Where I feel that someone hurt me. And the moment that thought comes out, like, how can he or how can she every time? The moment that thought comes, I stop myself. I said, okay, I'm going to hurt Swami right now. If I think that, I have a choice. Either I feed this thought right now, or I cut it right now and return to the lotus feet. That's what helped me in the last 28 years. I used to say, no, Swami. First, it used to be 10 days of ego. What, Swami? No, she really meant like that. Sitting and babbling in prayer time, right? It wasn't my fault, Swami. I realized my babbling went lesser and lesser over the years. From 10 days to 8 days to what I was thinking was forgiveness was never forgiveness. It was actually getting my own peace of mind back. And so don't indulge in unnecessary talk that gives you pleasure that time. But when you go home and you sit by yourself, you say, I wasn't cool today. I wasn't at all cool doing this. I wasn't right. I should have not. I wish I had controlled my mind. Right? Your devotion must be silent. Don't wave flags of heroism. You are to be dignified in your love for me. So we do that a lot of times, right? We'll say, hey, guess what I did today in the center, and I got this. Waves, flags of heroism. Okay? We need to bring those flags down. Those are not to be hoisted. Remember, I alone give you a chance to do my work. That's extremely powerful. When I was just telling Ramani yesterday. Sorry, I'm telling auntie because I'm looking at you. I was telling Ramani yesterday, I was talking to my sister before I was coming here, and I happened to tell her, I said, it's Swami's work that I have to go for. 3 hours later, he came and he told me, he said, it's not Swami's work. Swami's work has called you. You're not going for Swami's work. Swami gives you work. You better realize that you have had a lot of good brownie points somewhere hanging where he is using you. He doesn't need any of us to do this work. When he gives you this work to do, first of all, you have to transform yourself. You can. And then, if you try to bring that energy in someone else, that is the most powerful work you're doing. You don't have to go and look for Narayan Seva and make 100 packages. Wherever you are, even if you're at work and no one knows about Swami there, if you're able to give that person energy, your energy of Swami into that person silently, without even using Swami's name, you have done Narayan Seva, but you have just fed the soul and come, that person's soul and come. Those packages are not needed, those also he'll give you a chance to do. But at every moment, if we catch ourselves, you don't realize the Seva opportunity we have in our hands right now. Seva is not a task that is only performed and written in, sent to devotees and photographs taken of them being Seva. Here is a bag of rice I'm giving you. These are not Seva projects. These are public relation Seva projects that are being told that, okay, here, this is how we are doing Seva. Respect us. Not respect Swami. Respect us for doing this Seva. So we have to be, Swami likes a very ordinary, simple, sweet soul become that. It's not hard. He wants you to be simple, sweet, sincere and honest. How about that? Who's having difficulty understanding what I'm telling you right now? No one, right? We don't need a school and a university to understand that. We don't need a thesis to write on this. It's simple. I have to be good. I have to create peace wherever I go. I have to be good. I have to create peace wherever I go. Period. I'll tell you of an incident while I'm speaking to you about this. Is that I had a project in my old home where I had 3 painters come and they were painting my cabinets in my kitchen. And at that time, Karan and Krishna were very small. And Krishna was just learning the harmonium and Karan was just learning the tabla. And I was getting these songs from Swami. So these guys used to hear these English songs of Swami. And they're supposed to finish this project in a week. So I come upstairs after singing the song and they can hear the harmonium and tabla and I can hear these guys going, they're humming the song and painting. Right? So I laughed. I said, what are you guys doing? He said, hey, you know what? This tune has gotten so catchy. And so we came closer and we tried to hear the words of the song. Hey, those words are pretty cool. They're giving us a lot of peace. Can you sing upstairs? So I brought them upstairs to the living room with their harmonium and tabla. And we used to practice this song. And these painters, instead of finishing the project in 1 week, refused to, purposely were messing up. And they took 4 weeks because they wanted to come to our house to paint. And so the owner got very upset with me because I was paying him only for 1 week, right? He said, what are you making my painters do? I said, I'm not telling them to do anything. They're somehow not catching up. And then the 3rd week they winked at me and they said, hey man, we like being with this Lord of yours. It's pretty cool to be with this music. And so what happened is, at the end when they finished, I took some extra cash, put it at Swami's feet, and went and gave it to them. And one of them said, you know what? I've been on drugs. I'm going to stop drugs. The other one, he had an issue where he was not doing good things to his wife at home. He said, hey, you know what? I'm not a good person. I've realized that. I'm going to change my life. And the 3rd guy, he came back to me a year later and he said, you know, Seema, I developed cancer. And while I developed that cancer and I went for my chemo, when I was lying down on my chemo, I used to hum that tune that your children used to sing. Now, when I went to Swami and I showed him the book, Swami stopped at that particular song and asked me to sing it. So I'll sing it for you today. You have to realize Karan and Krishna and Shiva make a lot of fun of my compositions since they are like almost lullabies. I get a lot of rap on that. And being a mother of 3 boys is not easy because they constantly love to put me down. They take every opportunity, right, Krish? No. No, they are very good boys actually. Okay, let's start. Pray to the Lord and He shall hear. Bow to the Lord and He shall stay. Look to the Lord and He shall care for you. Work for the Lord and He shall do. Swami loved this one sentence when I sang work for the Lord and He shall do. He loved it. He said, oh, yes, he told me with his eyes sparkling. Work for the Lord and He shall do. Ask the Lord and He shall give. Turn to the Lord and He shall turn to you. Follow His word and He shall save. Love for the Lord and He shall bear. Cherish His heart and He shall make you hail. Pray to the Lord and He shall hear. Bow to the Lord and He shall stay. Look to the Lord and He shall care for you. Care for you. Care for you. Care for you. Work for the Lord and He shall do. Ask the Lord and He shall give. Turn to the Lord and He shall turn to you. Turn to you. Turn to you. Follow His word and He shall save. Love for the Lord and He shall bear. Cherish His heart and He shall make you hail. Cherish His heart and He shall make you hail. Cherish His heart and He shall make you hail. So the painters in the house were, when I went out from the kitchen and saw them, they were they were having a ball with it. How many minutes more do I have before I end here? 15 minutes more? Is anyone looking at the time? Ravi, what time do I finish? Is it finished? Okay, so then let me just let me do a couple more of the readings of this. Remember, I alone give you a chance to do my work. I give you the health. I give you the mental stability. I know what difference you can make. Accept my work with humility. The moment you become proud, I will make you step down from the task. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. The greatest moments are those of preparation. You have to have a perfect attitude to serve me. Kindness, compassion, and understandings are the armor you will wear. These are the three things Swami expects out of us. Kindness, compassion, and understanding of each other's. The reason we have a difficulty in maintaining the peace is because we want people to be like ourselves. And that is what creates the misunderstanding. We have to broaden our minds. We have to realize someone is coming from a very different situation, from a very different home, from a very different background. And when we shut people off because we feel that we are living the right life, that's when we create the misery not in the world, but the misery in us. That's when we become hard people. We become bitter people. We forget how to laugh. If you look at the children right now in the front sitting, they have so many smiles. But as we grow older, have you noticed? If one day we have a good laughter, we say, hey, I had a good day today. Not because we made $1 million, but because we had unconditional, suddenly a bout of laughter, and it brought the child out in us. So Swami said, why can't we be childlike like that each time, right? Why can't we bring the laughter out in each of us rather than the differences out in each of us? This Swami used to be very particular about, I do not like unnecessary debates that create unrest in all devotees. We are not here to debate. Spirituality is an area where we are trying to understand where all our energy is coming from the center of our being. We are not to bring debates of outside social norms into our way of being. Those are different. Those we will have to accept and move and do things. But spirituality is very different. Spirituality has no differences whatsoever. You don't create differences by having a spiritual organization. The differences actually vanish when you have a spiritual organization. We should have no differences. That's the whole reason why we are here. Not to create them and to make them bigger, right? You are here to receive the silence of truth. Truth must not be spoken with animosity and pride. Remember, I am sitting in this home. He's sitting right now. Nothing escapes my ears. I have 1,000 eyes and hands. I need no one. I only choose you when you realize the might of God in you. That he told me in person when I told him, I said, Swami, how is it that you know every small thing? One day he told me, I know you were crying. You were sitting in that restaurant outside in the morning crying. Swami is not calling. Baba is not calling. Baba is not. And then he imitated me because I was saying, Baba is not calling. But he was like, Baba is not calling. Baba is not calling. Eating dosa. Dosa is also not going inside your mouth properly, he said. So I told him, I said, Swami, how do you know everything? And then he looked at me. He stared at me and he said, that is because I have 1,000 eyes and 1,000 hands. That was Lord Vishnu right in front of me, declaring himself as God. The power of that. I think we'll stop for right now, and I will see you back in the afternoon. Sai Ram, and thank you very much for allowing me to talk.
Om Sai Ram. Thank you, Seema, for the wonderful, wonderful talk and getting your experiences. We are eagerly waiting for the afternoon session also. And to hear about your experiences and to get some laughter. We are very eagerly waiting for that. Thank you, everyone. We are now concluding this segment and will be going into a break, and after which we will have the afternoon program. As you can see, we have a whole day planned. Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Quick note on the agenda of the next thing. So we will break for lunch now, and we will meet again at 1:30. And from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m., we have the Sai Parenting Workshop. So request all parents to attend that workshop, which will happen at this venue. And we also have 2 parallel sessions happening. So from 1:30 to 2, we have an afternoon meditation session in the old bhajan hall in Chalice Hall, that's called. And then we also have a experience sharing, an open mic session that also happens in the Chalice Hall. So anybody can share how they are bringing Swami's values and Swami's teachings into their life, share it with other folks. That happens again at Chalice Hall from 2 to 2:30. So the workshop will be here, Sai Parenting, from 1:30 to 2:30. And then 1:30 to 2 is meditation, and 2 to 2:30 is experience sharing that happens in the other hall. And then after that, we have a musical offering from 2:30 to 3, and 3 o'clock we break for tea, and after that we have the bhajan session. We have one other talk from 3:15 to 4:30, and 4:30 onwards we'll have bhajans and musical program. Okay, Sai Ram.